Hey, it's time for the Twice Removed podcast with Linda and Gina, where we talk about all things genealogy, including making connections with long-lost relatives while snooping in on our ancestors. Hey, it's good to know where you come from. Hey, everybody, it's Linda and Gina, and welcome to the Twice Removed podcast. There she is. There she is. You know what? It's getting to be about that time right before the kiddos go back to school and everybody's summer vacations are over and we hit Labor Day. So today we want to talk about what? Jobs. So
occupations of the past.
Yeah, not just any jobs, but the old-timey fun jobs of the past.
Ones that if you saw these on the census or whatever, I don't know if you'd see all of these on the census.
Could you imagine the first one?
Yeah. Oh, okay. 1950 census just released. Court jester.
Hey, that's our first one. Yeah. Yes, my great-grandfather was a court jester. No.
Well, that's what we're doing
in
now,
the 1950s.
Sort of. Yeah.
But that was during like the medieval Renaissance period. So if anybody was a court jester in the 50s, I'd say they're probably locked up somewhere being a court jester in the 1950s.
It depends on the gesture that you make in court.
But what did they do exactly? Were they just pure entertainment? Or, I mean, they obviously served a purpose because they were around and it's a job.
I feel like that they were abused a little bit from what I remember from old movies. Do you remember any of that where it's like...
I only remember the musical one Danny Kaye was in and he was happy-go-lucky. So as I remember, maybe I need to go watch it again, but...
I don't know what I saw, but it's like, you know, when they were facing the enemy, they threw the court jester at him. Or
so he was like a pawn on a chessboard.
Something like that, maybe a pawn. Yeah, I have this weird little memory of a movie or a show of some kind like that, but I don't know. Well,
then nobody wanted that job. So
yeah.
It kind of, I wonder if they like used it to like either you're going to the gallows or you're going to be the court jester, you know, something like that. Or, hey, I want to be the court jester.
Or maybe they were the ones that also sampled the food first before the king ate it.
Oh,
was that them too, or was that like a side gig of theirs, a side hustle?
A very short side hustle.
Yeah,
for some.
I know I'd want one because I don't think I could do that all day long. But you know,
what, taste food?
No, that I could do. Well, then again,
taste possible poisonous food.
I can make stupid jokes all day too, so I guess that this would be a good job for me.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yep, they may not be good jokes, but there's a lot of them.
Yeah. I don't know if you just heard that, but somebody revved their engine, so it was very loud. But if you didn't hear it, okay.
Well, just brag about it, will you? Was it a Mustang or something outside your window?
Probably like a Chevy Bel Air with hot rodded out.
Ooh.
But there we go. Anyways.
Yeah. So they dressed like clowns, if you don't remember what this is. And they had a little cap that had like 3 bells on it. And they told stories, sung funny songs, and performed acrobatics.
So they were kind of like a
TikTok.
Yeah. TikTok of the medieval times.
See, everything repeats itself somehow. It may not be exactly the same way, but we see them all the time.
I wonder if they did the ice cube challenge back then.
They might have. Well, they would have to figure out a way to make ice.
So,
you couldn't have lived back then.
Yeah, no. If there is no, I couldn't even go to Germany in 2012 because there was like 4 ice cubes in the whole of Cologne. So
there probably were only 4.
There were, and I had them in my water. But yeah, sorry Europe, but get some ice.
Yeah, and another thing that they don't keep cool in Europe either is milk, because whenever I've gone to Europe and when back in the day they only had that shelf stable ultra pasteurized milk that you get in the cardboard.
Was it like udder to table? Just
no, it was in the cardboard so they could keep it out on the shelf. And if you really wanted milk that badly, it was room temperature, whatever the room's temperature was. And there you go.
Well, I remember seeing a movie called Little Miss Marker with Walter Matthau and Julie Andrews. Fabulous movie. And he wanted to give this little Miss Marker, his little marker girl, some cream. And so he went out onto the ledge and he poured the cream off the top of the milk and stuck the milk out there. So I kind of asked my mom about that too. And she was like, well, yeah, that's where he kept it. We didn't have an ice box because there was no ice. So
yeah,
that's what you did.
And that's why milkmen.
Another harrowing job.
Well, and
if
then
you watched a Lucille Ball episode or two.
And it's got a built-in joke with genealogy because back in the day they always said, "Oh, he looks just like the milkman." Well, that's because they came every day to deliver milk. What else are they going to do? You start getting too familiar with the person you're delivering to.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's a lot of Gustafsons.
That was like big in the 50s, probably through the 70s.
We still had milk delivered in Florida because we lived 20 miles away from a store. And the milkman would come, I think it was every Thursday. I remember this because he also delivered half gallons of ice cream.
Oh, how'd he keep it cold? Ice truck.
it was the 70s. We did have refrigeration in Florida.
No, it all goes back to ice.
We didn't necessarily have air conditioning right away, but we had that. My school didn't have air conditioning when I first came to Florida from New York.
No wonder why you moved.
No. No, they actually raised money to get an air conditioning unit in the elementary school that I went to. And I was like, are you kidding me? It was this big giant fan on the top of the on the wall close to the ceiling that just sucked all the hot air out of the room. I know.
And a wig or two and a couple pencils.
Yeah, well, we weren't real big wig wearers in the third grade, but
yeah, teachers might have been.
Wig party wasn't around anymore.
I'm a spoiled SoCal girl that grew up by the ocean, so we had nice cool breezes at our school. And
yeah, I grew up by the swamp.
There you go. There's the difference.
Yeah, so milkmen you would find on the census. Easily, if you're looking. That's something,
I've seen that
if you're looking up your parents or grandparents, yeah.
Were any of yours relatives a milkman, or?
I don't think so. I don't remember that.
I wonder if had milk women. Probably not back then.
They probably milked cows at the, dairy farm, perhaps.
From udder to table. That's right there.
Utterly delicious.
Well, what else you got? Because I know there's one here that we're going to get to that I can't pronounce. So
let's give it a shot.
What is it?
Physiognomist.
I was going to say physiognomist. Physiognomist. What is a physiognomist? Because that's probably the last time I'll be able to say it. But
Ever?
What is it? Probably.
It was an early 1900s job based in criminology, science, and philosophy, which gave the person the credentials to essentially size someone up by their physical appearance. And I can do this. I've had this gift since childhood. I can tell you if somebody is somebody you should talk to or not. I just have that instinct. But,
okay. I thought based in criminology and stuff, maybe they were the fingerprint or duster people.
Well, that would be like NCIS.
So this is just some random person sizing someone up with a badge on, saying you're a bad guy, you're a good guy.
Yeah, and they may not have any evidence, right? So maybe that was the problem. But you could kind of tell, right? Body language and eye movements.
So it's a profiler.
It's a profiler. So
why do you got to give it that big old name? Call it what it is.
They probably don't do all the exact same. Maybe you don't need to have all of those same courses behind you to do it. Maybe it's just being a detective.
Does it still apply today, or is it just people saying? I mean, I've seen people being profiled that probably shouldn't have been profiled.
Well, clearly, yeah, we have a lot of that. Yeah, that's why you have to bring evidence. I guess they maybe weren't able to do this anymore because it wouldn't hold up fairly. Just because somebody's wearing a certain type of clothing or the way they wear their makeup or their speech pattern, their energy overall, I would still want to have all of those, I want to have those abilities anyway if I was going to be a detective.
So it's like a sixth sense.
Yeah, but they do have credentials in criminology, science, and philosophy. But what is philosophy? Well, philosophy does have a lot to do with crime, right? You have to figure out why. somebody would do something, would commit a crime to begin with.
And how do you say it again?
Physiognomist.
SUV physiognomist. See? Because they size you up.
That would be a great hit show because it's such a high concept title.
I think so. The physiognomist. People go in and go, what the heck? Let me go watch this to see what this is.
Well, like the commish. Remember that show?
Yeah, but that's commissioner.
No, but to me it was not because...
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it was not because the way it looked to me, it was komisch. And in German, it means, I mean, that might be slang, but it means strange.
Well, there you go.
So I was like, oh, this is a story about strangeness. Cool. And then I turn it on and I'm like, this isn't, but it said it is. Oh,
speaking about stories of strangeness, this next one, no way, no how. A plague doctor.
Oh, yeah. I have one of those masks.
Yeah. See, you can't tell me they were like the birth of steampunk. It's total that kind of look. So
it is. It's very steampunk.
Yeah. So that's probably where they got it from. So during the 16th and 17th centuries, these doctors went and not treated, but
they did.
Well, treated the people who had bubonic plague.
If you could. I mean, what are you going to give to them? Right?
Yeah. Back then,
not much.
Farewell.
Yeah.
A nice send-off, but that's about it. Yeah. Not the job I would want to have for sure.
Yeah, they would have a hat that would have like little vials of the herbs and stuff in it, or little tonics and whatever, and it would be like held in like bullets would be held in a hat. You know? And
then they had that very odd mask.
Yeah, I have one of those. I made it out of leather.
Okay.
Ask me when I made that mask.
When did you make that mask, Linda?
Approximately, I don't know, May of 2020.
Oh, so you knew this was happening. So what did the mask look like?
It was like a bird beak face. And it had like the eyes, where you could put like lenses in the eyes. Sew them in.
And why did they have one that was like a bird beak? Why couldn't they just wear a regular mask?
Because they put something at the end of the beak to distract them. The smell, they put like herbs or lavender or whatever to
lovely.
Yeah, and then so they wouldn't have to smell the people as they're decaying.
Okay, but if this was like an airborne disease, so did they get sick too? Most of them?
Well, they had to have holes in it so they could breathe, but they didn't filter them. So yeah, it didn't help if it was airborne. They would only use it if it was so they wouldn't get anything splattered on them.
And I can safely say I've never seen Plague Doctor. I've never seen Plague Doctor on a census. I don't know if you have, but
I hope not.
I haven't.
Well, we might. They wouldn't have listed it.
They didn't have censuses back then, right?
In this 2020
or in
census.
the 1950s. When did the census first come? 40, right? 2020?
Oh, the
1920s?
No, they've had them earlier than that. A lot earlier than that. I don't know if we'll be around in 50 years to see the 2020 census. But I don't think anybody's going to list Plague Doctor if they worked in the hospital during the pandemic.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Yeah.
If anyone finds out, let us know. Telepath it on up. We'll get it. Get your seance going. Call us in. We'll be there. We'll host your next seance. There we go. We have jobs in the afterlife. We're going to be seance hosts. We'll come and spook your seance. Want to get even with a friend?
Sign up now.
Yeah. There we go. So what's our next job? Hear ye, hear ye.
Town crier.
There we go. In medieval England.
Now we don't need them.
Now we have cell phones.
Now we have people on social media just posting away. So you don't need to have anybody broadcasting. Well, not even. It's even smaller than a podcast. Walking around town and reading off proclamations and whatever from the king.
So what would they say? I mean, what are some sample things that town criers would say?
There's a bubonic plague amongst us, and we must enter our homes and not come out until you hear from me again.
Oh, very good.
I don't know.
Well, was it? And now, see, I'm drawing a big old blank. The red coats are coming. The red coats are coming.
Well, wasn't that Paul Revere?
There, thank you. God, I couldn't get his name out. I knew he was on a horse, but
was he kind of the
wasn't he a town crier?
The town crier on horseback?
Maybe. Or if he's only known for saying that one phrase.
I think it might have just been a one-time side hustle gig.
He was running galloping out of town.
Follow me.
Yeah, basically telling people to get out. So he was on one-time crier.
Yeah, these are obsolete. Wouldn't see this one necessarily on a census. It would probably be like the switchboard operator job.
Yeah.
Or publicist.
What did you find, like, in your family tree? What are some of the fun jobs that you had found?
They were just like farmers. And this week I've been looking at the Norwegians because of the 23andMe.
The House of Johans. What were they up to?
No, that's the Germans. Yeah, the Norwegians that came over from Norway to Minnesota and Wisconsin, whatever. We have a lot of sailors and fishermen.
Oh, okay.
And that's probably why they were okay with Minnesota and Michigan and Wisconsin, because it's probably sort of parallel to Europe, Norway, weather-wise. So they didn't mind that weather. I would never have moved to like an ice brick. Here, come live in the igloo with us. And
I would.
Fishing. Oh, well, you. Yeah.
Yeah, send me. I had like on my mom's side, like her grandfather owned a chicken truck, and he'd sell chickens off the truck. And then her grandfather on the Italian side was a fruit peddler, and he'd go down to the market in LA downtown and buy the produce and bring it back, or use produce and used half-eaten produce, but older, starting to go out of date produce. And my nanny and her sisters and stuff would wash the lemons and make them shine up and stuff. And then he'd go around the streets of around his neighborhoods and sell them.
They still do that. In LA, you can go drive right through anywhere, and there's going to be some little guy set up with a cart with some cut fruit and whatever.
Wholesale.
And we were at the shopping center here, and right outside one of the home decor centers, there was a guy that was sitting there with bags and bags of oranges and whatever on the back of his truck. I don't know if he sold anything that day, but he just set up camp. I was like, wow, times are really weird.
Oh, I know. We were at Knott's Berry Farm buying some Christmas gifts last year, my friend and I, and some lady was telling us about a guy who sells honey. She's like, go to the next city. It's Pico Rivera. She's like, out in Pico Rivera and just drive to the opening of the sports arena, and he's out there on the weekend selling raw, fresh honey. It's the best honey in the world. So yeah, people got to make a living. And my dad's side, we had a lot of stationers. They had stationery stores and stuff in Pasadena.
Yeah, some of the newer stuff is still going on. I mean, my one uncle was a contractor. Yeah, the stucco, they did that stuff on the outside of the buildings, and they hung drywall on the inside. That's what one of those were. Yeah. And
so you know what, people? Take this and run with it and use the census. That's a lot of help in figuring out what our ancestors did in the past. It's all right there.
And another one is a water carrier.
Yes.
Was a popular job among peasants in 1600s India, because they didn't have like the 100-year-old pipes in LA that burst all the time.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's where Gunga Din worked.
In the potable water areas?
Well, no, if he was the one carrying the water back, Gunga didn't bring water. Was he an Aquarius since he was a water bearer? It's a natural fit for Aquarians to be 17th century water bearers or carriers.
Something to think about and ponder.
Ponder? Nope.
They're still doing that though too. Doesn't Ashley Judd do that? She goes to places and the missionaries and stuff. They build wells so people can have water.
Well, that's fixing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you drink tap water?
Oh no, no.
Filtered?
No, bottled.
Really, all the time?
Yeah.
In glass bottles?
Sadly, no. But
clay?
Yeah, clay pots. Right out of the ground. There's just a long straw, out of the well. No, we used to drink it where we used to live because we were tapped where Arrowhead came from. That was part of our system when I was like 6, but not since we had moved and stuff and moved toward the beach. Then the water got yuckier.
Oh,
so
that's really hard water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever had like desalinized? Am I saying it right? Desalinization to water?
Actually, the community I live in has that now. We have a new plant that opened up here.
Oh, okay. Now, is that your tap?
Yeah.
Have you drank it?
Oh, I always do.
Oh, you drink
filtered.
the tap?
It's filtered. I use Brita filters on the bottles, and the refrigerator has a filter.
We do Brita filters for the dog's water.
Yeah, I do that too for the cats.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't trust the bottled water necessarily in plastic that much anymore.
Oh, no. It's probably horrible sitting on the trucks in 100-degree weather. Just
well, yeah, they always have it outside.
Stuff seeping out. So.
Well, supposedly it's not that kind of plastic, but
that's good to know.
Yeah, I mean, I keep some in the garage in case there's an earthquake.
Right here. That's my water.
It's the same thing that's coming out of the tap, though.
It used to be. I don't know if it is now.
Yeah. It's just...
You know what I don't get, though? I can't drink like Aquafina or Dasani. It gives me major stomach aches. Bad stomach aches. But I don't get the people that show up at the grocery store with their big old jug and get water out of the wall.
Out of the dirty, nasty... Because it's reverse osmosis.
Yeah. I'm like, it's in the wall. It's water out of the wall.
And then the water softener just makes it salty.
Yeah, it does.
Then it's like, I'm not drinking that either. As bad as workplace may be nowadays, it is still better in comparison to some of the jobs that our ancestors had to do.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, like being a sailor and being gone for months and being sick on there and not having anybody to make you well. You may not even return.
Yeah, that right there. Work. And any of our military not knowing,
military is always a tough job no matter what. I mean, that's and law enforcement and first responders of all kinds.
Yep, I'd say those are the toughest. The fire, the police, the military.
Those are the toughest, and somebody's got to do it.
With the craziness now, there's a lot of people don't come home that should be coming home. So.
Being a mailman in Studio City is not safe anymore.
Yeah.
Did you see that? Where a mailman got mugged and now they stole his keys and everything has to be rekeyed in Studio City?
I saw that. It's crazy.
Do you imagine?
It's crazy.
All
sad.
The apartment complexes have to get their doors rekeyed.
It's crazy. It's sad and it pisses... can I say that? It's annoying and sad and ticks me off to no end.
Yeah, we had our mail stolen 3 times in West Hollywood.
Really?
Yeah, they pried open the boxes and stole it.
Anything important? I mean,
well, yeah,
what are they
looking
for?
They're
looking for checks and statements.
They're looking for stuff like that. Of course, they had to close out accounts and stuff like that. So
people, get it together. Come on, respect. That's all it takes.
But a lot of this does come from the fact that people are not paid. They all have to struggle, and we see everybody with like these super expensive crap on social media. They're showing videos of themselves traveling and all these expensive things that they have, and everybody thinks that they have to have it too, when it doesn't work that way. We knew that it didn't work that way. Just because our friends had like the super expensive sneakers when they were growing up doesn't mean that we got them.
Of course not.
I was lucky to get a pair of Sears Roebuck sneakers through mail order.
Okay, so let me bring this back into play. Speaking of child labor. Did you get paid to do chores?
Yeah.
Did you?
You
had a set of chores?
I cleaned the oven, and I got somewhere between 50 cents and $1, depending on how bad my mom had destroyed it. Cut the lawn. I got like $5 for the back lawn and like maybe 3 or 4 for the front because it was shorter. So that was pretty good. But that was, and we had the mower. It wasn't a riding mower. This wasn't any fun. This was not fun for Linda in Florida in 90 degree heat.
It was a push one?
It wasn't push. It was self-propelled, but you still had to walk behind it, which was fine. I could use the exercise, I'm sure.
Did you have a lot of property?
3/4 acre. Wasn't that much, but it was a lot of grass,
Yeah.
Florida grass grows quickly, so you did it often. It was every week.
Wow.
So, yeah. So that was mine. And then I cleaned a church when I was a kid for minimum wage. And did that until I was 17 or so. Yeah. A couple of years.
Look at you.
And a country club. I cleaned the country club too.
Wow.
Yeah.
No shame in your game.
No.
No.
And when I look back on my ancestors, I have a lot of cleaning ladies in my family, and they worked hard too.
Yep.
Probably didn't get it paid as much as I did.
She works hard for the money, so you better treat her right.
Yeah.
Right there. I didn't get paid to do chores. It was do things, and then if you needed something or wanted something, I'd get it type of thing.
Yeah.
Kind of same thing, I guess, but.
Well, I liked shopping. I was always a big fan of that. Just going to the store and having my own money. Yeah.
I think the greatest day is when I bought a VHS player. That was like the most brilliant thing in the world to me.
That reminds me of the 8-track player that my mom got me for Christmas one year.
Love 8-tracks.
But you know what? It was like just the player, and it didn't have any speakers, and it didn't have an amp.
How'd you listen to it?
Headphones? We didn't. We returned it. We returned it and returned it and got something else because she didn't realize that you needed all that other stuff to go with it.
See.
So anyway, that is our Labor Day show, and we don't know if it made any sense.
Doesn't have to. It's just respect the people that work, and which is every one of us at some way, shape, or form, and just give them the respect that they deserve. Tip them a little more if they, receive a tip. Thank them. Be polite, because, you don't want to do that job, then, don't be sending your food back because you got one wrong thing or something like that. Try it. You might like it.
I know I already said this once, but I don't think I said it right. Because of the way that our ancestors had to work in not so great conditions is the reason that we have workforces a little bit better than they were. People get paid more. We now get a day off to reflect on it, but we don't reflect on it. We just keep running around on the hamster wheel. And people can't make money fast enough nowadays. So, reform.
That was very well put.
I don't know if it was.
Do we need to talk about Jimmy Hoffa?
Why?
Didn't he do the unions?
Oh. That's another story from childhood.
Oh, you got a Jimmy Hoffa story?
They always said that
Did you find him?
They always said that he was buried underwater in our lake under this... I don't know what it was. It was like this thing that was like... They sunk it. It was like... it was the thing they used to build the pier. They would stand on it to build the pier that we had out there. So we had this big pier, and then there was this pipe that stuck out in the lake, and there was a platform, and they said, "Oh, Jimmy Hoffa's buried under there." And some of the people that I grew up with out there, they were New Yorkers, and they're the ones that were saying that like they knew.
Uncle Vito said he was out there.
Yeah.
And he ain't looking too pretty.
Yeah. Fish food.
Well, we want to thank everybody who is a hard worker, which is everybody. And thank you for joining us on Twice Removed Podcast. Remember to visit us at twiceremoved.net and look at Linda's blogs. And she's got some really cool videos of some of the jobs that we talked about today, which are really neat. And let us know. Let us know what your ancestors did. And, who knows? Maybe we'll have you on to discuss it.
Cheers.
Adios. The Twice Removed Podcast is produced by Linda Anderson and Gina Glass. All opinions expressed are of our own and of our guests. For more information and upcoming guests, please visit our website, twiceremoved.net.